Hey guys, welcome to Armchair Conversations with Rob. Another short, simple, sweet one. Let's talk about needs versus wants. Do I need it or do I just want it? First of all, what is a need? Do you think of a need as something that's external, that is simply going to make you feel happy or feel good or affect how other people see you? Or is that a want? Do you think of wants as goals to be attained or things to be acquired or situations to be achieved? Think about this one because I think I heard something. I can't remember if it was, probably wasn't Fox News, but maybe something on YouTube related to like the Young Turks or someone like that. If you ever want to watch anything that's kind of politically satirically funny, it's Young Turks. Uh, he they poke fun at lots of different things that happen in the world. They poke fun at the ridiculousness of life, and they even poke fun at the ridiculousness of politics. Anyway, shameless plug, but I happen to like their channel, so go check it out, Young Turks. Um, but we're back to needs and wants. We live in a very what has been termed Epicurean stage of our country and our society, in that we have gotten away from the struggle part of our growth of this country into the hedonistic part, the part that tends to, in some historians' opinion, tear nations down, the part that allows you to make things important that are really truly not necessary for the function of life in this country or your life in general. That's what they mean by Epicurean. Like, for example, you are discombobulated mentally and emotionally because somebody didn't put the foam in your double mocha schmocha double triple latte. And that is something that actually causes you emotional distress in your life. And it's a big deal. Or we have to legislate things like where and when you can smoke, how old you have to be when you smoke. Legislate things like morality. You can't behave this way or that way, or this class of people can't have certain rights and privileges. Because this is recorded in an era where they just gave um, nationwide rights to same-sex marriage couples. Um, Back to what I'm saying though, hedonistic versus survival. A want to me is something that isn't necessary. It isn't something that is required for your survival. It isn't something that is required for the functionality of your being or the function of a particular anything. So, we have a generation of people that place a lot of importance on things that would not make or break their life in one way at all. Like, for example, okay, um, I'm frustrated and upset because I don't have the latest iPhone. Or I'm frustrated and upset because all of my friends are wearing Jordan sneakers and I'm not. I'm frustrated and upset because people make fun of me because my car isn't painted. And these things have become very important to segments of our society. I mean, we have people that have shot up McDonald's or any number of stupid things over what they consider is important, life changingly important, and it's really not. Um, I won't speak out about a bunch of other things, but I'm just saying determining the difference between needs and wants, I think, is going to be very important for getting your life forward and on track. If you can't distinguish between the fact that I can do without a certain thing if it's going to bring me to another level later where I can have it and then more things on top of it, then you got a sad life coming. I mean, if you can't save money because you need the latest iPhone, because if you don't, somebody's going to laugh at you or the world is going to somehow reject you. Um, you got a sad life coming, and you're probably not going to have any of the things that you're after. I think older people that I talk to used to call it delayed gratification, meaning that uh, sometimes you got to wait for stuff. And it's not something that you have to have right now. As a friend of mine says, right damn now. Okay? There is not hardly anything that most of us deem important that we got to have right now. We've made it important because of emotional concerns, or we've placed a lot of emotional content and importance on things that aren't necessary to our survival. So that's how I classify needs versus wants. Needs is something that if I don't get this thing, this is going to affect my health or my life, or maybe end my life or allow me not to make it to the next day, next round, next thing, survival stuff. Okay. To me, needs are things like air, water, food, secondary, possibly shelter, clothing. Okay. That's 5 things right there that are really pretty important. The shelter does not have to be in well, my place, South Hills. The shelter does not have to be on the beach. The clothing does not have to be Tommy Hilfiger. It's not really popular anymore, but it was a time when it was important, or Gucci or whatever the hell else it is at the time that you happen to be seeing this recording. Those are not needs. Those are wants. You are not going to die if you have to wear the Kmart special shoes. Okay? Do not despise the day of small beginnings. Any of you guys that listen to me remember that one? If not, go check it out. Okay? Do not tell me that you are going to somehow suffer emotional trauma because you don't have the latest iPhone, or all the kids in school are going to laugh at you. I actually had a parent look at me and tell me when we were discussing money. I had an actual parent look at me and tell me, and I'm a parent myself, as some of you have seen, that they had to get the new Galaxy phone for their child because the child suffered from self-esteem issues, and they were going to um, feel bad if all the other kids had that phone and they don't. Two things struck me as odd about this conversation, because the person I was talking to is a lower middle class earning person, wage wise. And the people that I see surrounding them are, they actually do have these things, but they're all um, poor, for lack of a better word. They always say broke versus poor, but I think when you make decisions like this is poor. That's mentality. That's poor. Okay, because that was more important than taking the $500 that this person paid for this phone and putting it into a fund for this child's college, um, educational classes for this child, some kind of something to move this child forward. Um, and it just kind of blew my mind. And I started to realize that people have made things very important that aren't anymore, or that aren't or never should have been. So, what I'm challenging you to do with this little ditty right here is to think about needs versus wants. Is it something you really need, or is it something that you want for your comfort, baby? Okay? Ask yourself this question. Am I going to die without it? Is it going to affect me to the point of harm, other than my emotional harm of not having it? Uh, and answer the question honestly. And you might be able to make some decisions that'll change your life and possibly even change your finances. Because I know that there are people who have been able to delay their gratification and save their money to do things that are better in the future than what they wanted to do today. The bird in the hand is worth two in the bush type of deal. Um, in some ways, that's bad because it has encouraged us to select what is now and not think about tomorrow. We laugh now and cry later, as Ice Cube's album was titled, you know. And in some ways, that's not so good, because unless you feel like you don't have a future, and there are a lot of people in the poor mentality that don't, um, then you do make decisions like that. So I'm encouraging you to, one, appreciate the fact that I rambled and I talked about the fact that I need you to examine needs versus wants. Think about that. Do you need it, or do you merely want it? Is it something that you can do without if it's necessary to further your goals toward what you want, or is it something you have to get someplace? Until then, thank you for sharing my armchair. And again, feedback, questions, comments, stupid statements, whatever. Just do something. And thank you.